it just seemed that Kapil Dev was, possessed. It was, as they call nowadays, they say, no, he's in the zone.
Yeah.
But what zone he was in, only he knows. This was the moment of the transformation. The transformation was not in the final where we won. This was the moment of transformation.
Do you remember the first cricketer you ever interviewed as a journalist?
Yeah, of course, very vividly. Sandeep Patil. Sandeep Patil had been chosen for the tour of Australia, 1980-81. I was assigned to go and interview him for the magazine I was working, Sports Week magazine, and it was great fun. We are pretty much the same age. Sandeep Patil, Dilip Vengsarkar, me, around the same age, and they had come up through the ranks of schools and college cricket in Mumbai, and big names already by the time they got into the national reckoning. Sandeep Patil was known for his big hits, and I used to go and watch him play in the Gymkhana grounds in Mumbai. Islam Gymkhana, Hindu Gymkhana, and he would be tonking the ball into the sea. He was a big, powerful hitter.
Across the road into the sea.
Into the sea. I was so delighted that I was assigned this job to go and interview Sandeep Patil. I interviewed him in his house at Shivaji Park. More interestingly, because he had become an India player around that time, and Sandeep is a guy who pursues his passions.
Yeah.
So he got a small aeroplane, a real aeroplane, but dysfunctional or not functional, and put it on his terrace.
What?
On his terrace.
Not a simulator, not a model plane.
No.
An actual defunct plane.
Defunct plane.
Okay.
And that served as his bar in the evenings.
No! What a guy.
What a guy. Sandeep was quite a character.
People get so excited right now when they get on planes, and a lot of planes now, Virgin, Emirates and stuff, they have bars on deck now. They don't know that Sandeep Patil pioneered this almost 40 years ago.
He absolutely did. And we talk of the fancy lifestyles of modern day cricketers who earn money in crores. I don't think Sandeep Patil at that point in time must have earned in even,
in thousands.
He was earning in thousands.
There was no money in cricket then.
This was something that he wanted to do. So he did it.
I'm telling you. You don't need money to have class.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or have fun.
That's right. So, talking about not having money to have fun, you go to England. You've only been a journalist for a couple of years.
With very limited money.
Yeah.
And
you couldn't even take money. I'm saying the cricketers also didn't have any money then.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They were washing their own clothes and stuff to
save money.
To save their little daily allowance, right?
Yes, absolutely. So when we landed there, nobody gave India a chance. The first match that India were playing was at Edgbaston against West Indies. I said, ye to dhulai hone wala hai. So I decided not to go for the match.
Oh.
And I stayed back in London to watch at the Oval, England versus New Zealand.
Okay.
So I went for that match. Martin Crowe played a wonderful innings, I think 80 odd. England won the match, New Zealand lost. But there was drama happening at Edgbaston. Because India were, putting West Indies on the mat. That match spilled over into the second day.
Yeah.
And India won that match. So my greatest learning in journalism came there. That don't shift away from your assignment.
Yeah.
Don't move your sight from what you are supposed to do. Imagine that was the starting point of India's arguably the greatest cricketing triumph. Still, 1983 victory. And I missed the first match where it all started.
Yeah. But you made up for it adequately by being there for a game. Tunbridge Wells. Little village ground, which as Kabir Khan tells me now, because he's shooting 83, the film, as he tells me, that ground looks exactly the same even now.
Yes.
Like 36, 37 years later. It looks exactly the same. You're at that little village ground. Tell us why, and we've heard so many stories about why that the greatest innings perhaps played by an Indian in limited overs.
In my opinion, is the greatest ODI innings ever. I mean,
ever.
It redefined international cricket.
Wow.
But to come back to 83, severe shortage of money. So to go to Tunbridge Wells, I actually delayed my departure from London to pay off-peak hours in the train.
Okay.
Not pay full fare.
Yeah.
The fares become 50% or less.
Correct.
If you go 1 hour later or something.
The struggle is real, man.
The struggle is real. So I reached there, and I remember from the station, I literally ran towards the ground because I knew I was late. And as soon as you enter the ground, then on the right were the dressing rooms. And I saw in the Indian dressing room, in the porch outside, Mr. Gundappa Vishwanath, who was one of my heroes. So I said, before I get into and there was no press stand. It was a shamiana.
Yeah.
It was a tent where you had to go, which was near square leg or mid wicket. So I hopped into the porch, and now think about it. Today you can't get like within 5 miles of any cricketer when the match is on.
Correct.
But here I could walk into the porch. Those were different days. And I asked Vishy, I said, "Kya ho raha hai? What's happening?" I was quite excited. He's saying, "Nothing to worry about." I said, "What is he talking about? Worry?
Yeah.
What worry?" And I looked up at the scoreboard. It was 9 for 4, soon to become 17 for 5.
Yeah.
And India were in a right royal mess. I mean, in dire straits. It just looked like the match would end in a couple of hours,
Yeah.
So
you could still go back in off peak.
You can still go back and off peak. I waited there for a while talking to Vishy till the score maybe reached 70 or 80, which is about 45, 50 minutes. And then the strokes started coming from, it was a difficult pitch on which to bat. It was a seaming track, and Zimbabwe in those days had a very Peter Austin and Kevin Curran were a handful. They were really good bowlers. And the match then moved into another gear with Kapil Dev kind of exploding into all kinds of strokes. That hour and a half spell, I think, from, when he had settled in, the pitch had also eased out a little bit, was mind-boggling. It just seemed that Kapil Dev was, possessed. It was, as they call nowadays, they say, he's in the zone.
Yeah.
But what zone he was in, only he knows. But what one saw, I mean, words can't express it, because you can see some pictures, there was no coverage of that match.
Yeah, so I want to ask you that, why there was no coverage?
Because BBC was on strike for one day. It was a token strike, and it affected the coverage of this match, not just for television, but also for radio.
Okay.
So, there are very few eyewitnesses. I'm one of them. And obviously, those who were there. Some journalists from India, obviously a lot of journalists from England. But it was an experience that I had never had earlier. I don't think the crowd kept quiet even for a second while Kapil had shifted gears.
Yeah.
So say from maybe 60, 70 to about 175, which is the final score that he made, it was one riotous kind of, situation.
Yeah.
People were going ballistic. This came out of the blue, and from 9 for 4, 17 for 5, and then, of course, partnerships with Binny and then Kirmani. It just elevated the stature of Indian cricket to a different level. We had not won the tournament then.
Yeah.
But the fact that you didn't give up and you won the match from such a precarious situation was in itself, to my mind, the turning point in the Indian mindset. You mentioned earlier that Indian cricketers were perhaps not prepared to play ODI cricket.
Yeah.
But after that transformation happened. This was the moment of the transformation. The transformation was not in the final where we won. This was the moment of transformation.
For many more stories like this, join me on 22 Yarns, a Spotify original.